Seeking viewers, cable TV networks went to extremes to develop new shows. Sometimes that was a good thing, and rarely it was better than that. People have their favorites. There have been a number of first-rate series with no commercial interruptions and no censors restraint, but I would like to say a few things about The Sopranos, mostly because of the death of James Gandolfini a while ago, but also because of the deep, majestic, horrifying brilliance, or really I should say darkness, of that show. Thank you, David Chase, and everyone else connected to it. First of all, there is the creation of Tony Soprano, doomed from the start, living an impossible existence. Who can survive with that many enemies, with that many flaws? His enormous inadequacies as a husband and father, or as Tony would put it, I'm a horrible prick. His tremendous capability as a crime boss, or, as Tony would say, I'm the motherfucking one who calls the shots. And that part of him, unlike so many of his associates, that knows, even when it does not know what, and consequently suffers, leading him into therapy, the show's only gimmick, the one it mined shamelessly. One enormous difference between Tony and nearly all of his compatriots was that Tony had a visible family. He had children, a home. It made him in every way more vulnerable, and vulnerable is not a good thing in his explosive world. The excellencies of it all? Let me name some. My memory is faulty. I'll be leaving out a lot. The family, Carmela, Meadow, AJ, Christopher, Uncle Junior, Tony's mother. I tend to forget about Tony's mother, but she was a hoot. Tony's boys, Paulie Walnut, Silvio, Big Pussy Bumpin' Cerro. Just having characters named Paulie Walnuts and Big Pussy made me want to show up. And minor players like Father Phil the Mooch and Artie Bucco the Doormat and Furio and on and on. The opening of each show, defining the world, that music, Tony's brutal arms, the cigar, the curling smoke, the tough neighborhoods, ending up where he lives now, his slice of the American dream, the journey of his life, which, if David Chase is playing it for real, has to end badly. I say badly because one of the great operating miracles of the show is that Tony, cruel and terrible as he is a sympathetic character, meaning we are, through the genius of David Chase and James Gandolfini, in Tony's corner. It's a tight corner. Okay, a few things. Like I said, his mother. I can see a seething Tony walking the halls of a nursing home carrying a pillow, wanting to kill her. Tony's sister, Janice. What an invention she was. When she kills Richie Aprile, what a great scene. A tiny domestic argument that crosses a line. He hits her, totally forgetting or underestimating that she is Janice Soprano. Like so many of the arguments in the show, offense is taken, respect ignored, violent response. When they shoot Big Pussy out on the boat, and how Big Pussy keeps turning up in Tony's mind on the head of the talking fish. The Pine Barrens episode, the one in which Tony is taking Meadow to see colleges, and he recognizes a guy who snitched and is in the Federal Witness Protection Program. When the therapist, Dr. Malfi, is raped, the episode is called Employee of the Month. At the end, all she has to do is tell Tony and he'd take care of it, and she doesn't do it. You're waiting for the bomb to go off, and it doesn't, and it's more powerful than if it had. David Chase had a great reckoning for power, and though the worlds of the therapist and the patient collide, he never lets them intersect. When Ralph, who is a shit but a big producer, beats the stripper who is pregnant with his child to death. I remember thinking that this went beyond anything I wanted to see, way, way beyond, but it was also in the show's territory, and therefore possible, inevitable. It took me where I did not want to go, and said, there it is. When Tony realizes that Ralph started the fire that killed their horse, and he beats him to death, this kind of a scene is, again, demonstrating that David Chase and all involved aren't fooling, not one bit, that they're playing this for real. In this life, every day, you're all in. All of Tony's gumas, including the one who hangs herself, Gloria, I think, further evidence of what I just said. And the one-legged Russian girl who dumps him. That bothers Tony, wounds his pride, and it's the first in a series of setbacks, part of a slide down that includes getting shot, losing a fight, saving AJ from a nutty suicide in the pool, seeing his boys get clipped, ultimately rejected by Dr. Mulphy, growing older. All of this diminishes him. Tony in his kitchen, all of those scenes, every one. Tony in a t-shirt and his boxers in front of the open fridge, looking for something to eat, some gabagool. Appetite is a word I associate with Tony. He was a man of great unchecked appetites. The box of sand he gives his neighbor for safekeeping, Dr. Cusimano. Coos. Nah, don't worry, I don't mean that anymore. The Stugatz episode. The show where it gets out that Uncle Junior is especially talented in the oral sex department. Hilarious, and again, ending badly. You get the feeling that everything ends badly. It does, emphatically. Christopher's girl is whacked. Christopher is virtually euthanized, put out of his miserable existence. I had to think about the end of the show. What was David Chase doing? And many viewers felt it was perfect because it was open to interpretation. The great fade out. You can take it any way you want. I guess that's so, since that's what viewers did. Took it any way they wanted. Look, it's The Sopranos. It's not Seinfeld, Newhart, MASH, or Walker, Texas Ranger. There is only one way you can end The Sopranos. The only choice you have is how you go about it. It's like that fall of the House of Usher. You set it up with all those cracks in the facade. I do think the ending was perfect, so carefully constructed in that cafe, with the old folks, the Boy Scouts, the young couple, the potential suspects. Tony playing Don't Stop Believing on the jukebox, that basket of onion rings, they eat them like communion wafers, and the screen going black when it should be Meadow walking in the door. Focus on the good times. Not an easy thing to do when everything you are and have is built on savagery. Thank you, James Gandolfini, and thank you, David Chase.